Well, good morning, Columbine. It is such a beautiful day, and I see all these beautiful smiling faces, and I am happy to be here. I am grateful. I am grateful that this morning I get to introduce our guest speaker. And to many of us, well, I can't include myself because I'm fairly new, but Ed is an old timer here. Ed was the founding minister of Columbine, along with many of our other pioneers that are with us here. So we are privileged to have him speak to us today. Ed has served as an ordained minister of Unity Churches for more than 25 years. He just became minister of record for Unity of Bandon, Oregon, not too long ago. Is that right, Ed? And is a founding minister of Unity Columbine Spiritual Center. And Unity in Heart of St. Paul, Minnesota. Most recently, he served as the executive director of Oregon Interfaith Hub. Unapologetically, he's heart-centered, down-to-earth, deeply intuitive. Ed is a skillful spiritual teacher and guide. His books include Heart Power, Going Deeper into the Heart of who you are on one day at a time. A deeply thoughtful daily reader and Heart Path. These are really long titles. So he also produced a book that is a deeply thoughtful reader and heart-powered path, 99 daily practices of igniting heart-mind coherence. A one idea. Yes. It's a handbook on spiritual practices. Ed is the father of 2 children and a grandfather of 5. He resides in Eugene, Oregon, with his wife and life partner, Candace. So, Ed, we are so fortunate to have you and grateful for what you have to give us this morning. Welcome.
Yes, thank you. That was a rather lengthy introduction. Well, here I am back at Columbine. Yeah. Yes, my life partner and wife, Candace, we made a 1,500-mile road trip to get here. On Friday, I'm still road tripping. So I have no idea what's going to happen here today, and that's just fine with me, okay? I think it would be appropriate, and I sense it would be appropriate here right now, just to take a moment to breathe. Again, I need that, all right? Take a moment to breathe. Just let the silence rust in our hearts here for a moment. Such a gift to be here. Thank you for that. And again, thank you, Sydney. Thank you for the music. And I appreciate your willingness to share for the meditation, the Love, Serve, Remember tune, which goes back, 15, 20 years for me. It's very important to me in my life. As I share with you today about the pilgrimage of a lifetime, I'm going to speak specifically to my own personal pilgrimage. And in some way, my intent is for some of what I have experienced, what I have gained, what I have learned, the mistakes I have made, and so forth, the gifts that I've been given can somehow spill over into your life today. I hope you're open to that. I assume you are. And of course, I'm standing before you today realizing that the majority of my life is behind me. Can anybody here relate to that? All right, I look out here and I go, yeah, I think for most of us, the majority of our life is behind us unless some miraculous turn of events take place, and we're open to that in Unity. And so I bring to you today the benefit of hindsight. The benefit of hindsight. And I spent a lot of my time doing that now, gazing into my life and what has it been about. Is anybody here relating to that? Yes, I assume you are. And so how can I possibly sum this up in this 20 to 25 minute time frame? Now, when I come to Columbine, it's a bit different for me. I clearly sense Columbine is an integral part of my pilgrimage that I am so grateful for. And I get to come back here and have that reestablished in my heart and mind. And you get to be a part of it. Thank you for doing that. You know, this, as was mentioned, my relationship with this community goes back to the early 1990s, when my life, and I assume for many of us here, our lives was in a very, very, very different place. Oh my God, was my life in a very different place. And who I was at that time and who I am now literally are oceans apart. They are, but they are still connected, which I'm grateful for. So in some way today, this is me reconnecting with an integral part of my soul family. Many of you here who I know, you clearly are a part of my soul family, and the entire Columbine community is that I have that kind of relationship with this space, place, and the people here. I want to move into, again, the topic of the day, which is about the pilgrimage of a lifetime. And I would say these words from Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. sum it up for me. And this is the aim of my life, and probably the aim of the lives of all of us here in some way. And you see the words right here, which is pretty cool. I like that. I notice everybody's looking at the screen here. Okay. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. May that be so. Yeah, amen. Absolutely. What is a pilgrimage? I had to look this up, and it's consistent with what I thought it was. It's a journey, often into an unknown or foreign place, where a person goes in search of new or expanded meaning about themselves, others, nature, or a higher good through the experience, I guess you could say through the experience of life, willingly or unwillingly. I don't think you'll see that up on the board. And it does often, thank God, it often leads to some form of personal transformation. How about you? I will add to this that you could almost sum it up as the commitment to fulfill all of you here in your own individual way, who you've truly come here to be. This is why you're on this pilgrimage of life. So I'm going to share excerpts from my life, people that I've known and met personally, what they gave me, the gifts they have given me, and some people who I never met who also have given me gifts. The first day that I arrived at Unity Village in 1985 to begin my training as a Unity minister, literally the first morning I was at Unity Village. How many here have been at Unity Village? Wow, this cool. All right. I'm walking to go have breakfast, and I meet up a woman who introduces herself and says she's an employee there at Unity Village. We have a nice friendly chat very briefly. Then as I'm about to leave to go have breakfast, she says, oh, by the way, do you know what the daily word is for the day that you were born? I'm like, how many here know of the daily word? And by the way, they're celebrating their 100th anniversary this year of the publication of the daily word. And of course, my response to her was, no, I don't know what the daily word was for the day that I was born, March 18th, 1951. And she said, well, I'd like to give a gift to you. I'd like to make a really nice, pretty 8x10 parchment copy of the daily word for the day that you were born. I thought, wow, this is fabulous. So we met up a couple of days later. She presents this beautiful parchment copy with a blue border, I still remember it, of the writing of the daily word for March 18th, 1951. I'm reading it, and I'm going, wow. The affirmation for the day, and this is a big part of my pilgrimage. The Spirit of God goes with you wherever you go, drawing you steadily toward the good with a capital G. Now, I had just a few days before that, before I arrived in Missouri at Unity Village, I had left my life in Montana. I left my wife and 2 children there. I'm launching off into this unknown space. And that immediately got me grounded in the moment and said, something's happening here in my life. And it was a real gift to me. So I give that to you today. The Spirit of God goes with you wherever you go, drawing you steadily toward the good in the pilgrimage of your life. My dear grandfather, everybody called him Doc. At age 86, he was in his 65th year of chiropractic practice. That particular morning, he had a home office. He treated 4 patients. Then he was feeling quite tired, and he called his daughter, my aunt. Said, I'm feeling tired. Would you come over and check on me? So she went to his home, found him on his bed. He reached out his hand to her. She put her hand in his, and he took his last breath. My grandfather, Doc, as I said, 65 years of practicing chiropractic in an era in which chiropractic was not highly thought of, let me tell you. He was dedicated to healing people of physical suffering because he had watched his father, my great-grandfather, die as a young man of literally of physical pain. And so the message I give to you today that he has given to me on the pilgrimage of my life is be a loving, healing presence in the world. This was, still is, right here for me, the presence of my grandfather. Now, I didn't make up that line. That actually comes from Myrtle Fillmore, our Unity co-founder in the book, How to Let God Heal You. Be a loving, healing presence in the world. This is so much what is needed today on the pilgrimage of our journey together. It's the summer of 1953. See, how many were around in 1953, by the way? Okay, goodness gracious, okay. A man in the Gulf town of Biloxi, Mississippi, hears screams coming from women running toward the surf, because the Biloxi is on the Gulf of Mexico. And he too sees what they see, which is a small child out on the surf, face down in the water, wearing a bright blue bathing suit. And so he too instinctively starts running toward the child. And once there, he's the first to arrive, actually. He's standing in waist-deep water. He takes this lifeless child in his arms, carries it up beyond the surf onto the beach, and he knows exactly what to do. To begin to compress the water out of the child's lungs, resuscitate him, bring him back to life. Oh my God. Well, this little boy's mother, aunt, and 2 older sisters were witness to this resuscitation. and were immediately traumatized, as you can imagine, and then in the next moment, rejoicing that this child has now come back to life. Oh my gosh. So then when they turned to thank the man who had brought this child back to life, he was nowhere to be seen. He was gone. I'm saying this out loud for probably the first time publicly in my life. That 2-year-old boy is me. I've had 70 plus years of integrating this experience and to turn it into wisdom, understanding. And I would say I'm edging closer and closer and closer to that. What I would say to you about this is that this is really the movement that in some way all of us have made on the pilgrimage of our life, which is to move from some trauma in our life into some life-changing revelation about why we're here. Do you hear me? Yes. Maybe you do. I don't know. So what is the message that I get today? There's so many in this one, but I'll say it this way today. No one in the world is a stranger. The way the story was told to me, it was a stranger that came and saved my life. No one is a stranger. We are here to be helpmates and angels for one another. Some have said, oh, this person was an angel who came to you and saved you. I'm not going to dispute that. In any way you look at it, this man showed up and was my life-changing helpmate, my angel that day. My mother's father, who I never met, I spoke to earlier about my father's father, who was the chiropractor. My mother's father, whose name was Harold Milton Hall. Again, I never met him. I'm going to make this as short as I possibly can. He wrote, my mother was separated as an infant from her father, my grandfather, Mr. Hall. And she moved with her mother many states away when she was an infant. She never knew her father, except when he started to write her letters. She got about to the age of 12, she starts getting these letters from her biological father, Mr. Hall. And these letters kept coming for about 6 years. I have a copy of 7 to 8 of these letters. In one particular letter, he wrote to my mother. This was on May 23rd, 1942. My mother at that time was 16 years of age. And he wrote this from Raleigh, North Carolina. He wrote the following, quote, in addition to the $5 bill, I'm enclosing as your graduation gift. This was from high school. I have this other gift to give to you. Go to a quiet spot and merely sit down with yourself and take an inventory of your spiritual well-being. While you are doing that, if it is done sincerely and conscientiously, you will know I am there with you. Do you do certain things or refrain from doing certain things because, perchance, you are motivated by fear? And he has fear in capital letters. Fear of results, fear of being subject to ridicule, fear of possible failure. And finally, he says, fear should never be the handmaiden of youth. So what did I receive? I first saw this letter literally in 1984, 40 years ago, when I was talking to my mother about becoming a Unity minister, which she couldn't imagine. And here she is now showing me these letters that I didn't know existed. The first letter that I opened up and read said this. It was in that letter. So what's the gift in this on the journey of our lives? And a gift to you today, hopefully, which is know and love thyself. How many times have you heard this? Know and love thyself. Don't let, and I've changed the word here, don't let fear intimidate you. Don't let fear, we all have fear, but don't let fear intimidate you when it comes to knowing and loving yourself. I need a drink of water. I live in Eugene, Oregon. It's very humid there, okay? I come to Colorado, it's like 12% humidity. Whoa, it's very dry here. That is a true statement, yes. Again, know and love thyself. Don't let fear intimidate you. Now, the next is somebody you know here in this community. I could not share about the pilgrimage of my life and the most influential people in my life without mentioning Bill Baker. In 1997, again, Bill and I were very close friends. Bill has been involved with Columbine. He now lives in Missouri for many, many, many years. Bill was diagnosed with a brain tumor and told by the surgeon that he had only 3 weeks to live. 3 weeks. This was in 1997. So he called me, and we had a very difficult phone conversation about this prognosis. It was like, what? He had been sick and ill for about a year, and they couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. Finally figured out he had a brain tumor the size of 2 fists wrapped around his brainstem. And he called to give me this news that I've got 3 weeks to live. What can you say to someone really that's saying this to you? And so I just consoled him. And then finally we hung up from the call. And then it was about an hour later, Bill calls me back. And he then tells me that the surgeon had called him back because he had consulted with one of his partners, another surgeon, and about Bill's situation. So these two surgeons had a lengthy conversation, and then they agreed that there was actually a chance that surgery actually could remove most of the brain tumor. Fortunately, it was not malignant. They could remove most of the brain tumor, but the surgery was very, very risky. There was a 50-50 chance that he would not survive the surgery. Imagine this in your own life. So, he decided to go ahead with the surgery, for those of you who know Bill. The surgery was successful. And afterward, Bill was in rehab for about 2.5 years. For those of you that, again, know Bill, he had to learn to accept and live with vision in one eye, hearing in one ear, and one side of his face without any muscle control. Okay? The muscles droop in his face. So his appearance is rather unusual. Okay? So again, Bill has been one of my dearest friends and continues to live a very full life at the age of 84 in Forsyth, Missouri. This is 27 years ago now that he had this surgery. And just a few, days before he had the surgery, he was told he had 3 weeks to live. And Bill now, what Bill's completely changed after he had the surgery. So what does he do? He worked with people to provide inspiring insight, wisdom, and intuition, assisting each person with a profound understanding of who they truly are. So what is it that I received from Bill Baker on the journey of my life that I give to you today? And it's this: our resilience runs very deep in us, in each and every one of us, much deeper than we realize. This is something we need to have ears to hear today. The resilience that lies within us is much, much deeper than what we believe it to be. And finally, there's so many intersections that have happened in my life that I've been gifted with. I'm going to share this one with you. I recently reread an excerpt from Marianne Williamson's best-selling book from 1992, Return to Love. And she wrote this. I think it's going to come up on your screen here. The practice of forgiveness is our most important contribution to the healing of the world. Amen to that. Then she goes on to write, forgiveness is a full-time job, and sometimes very, very difficult. Few of us always succeed. Yet making the effort is our most noble calling. It is the world's only real chance to begin again. Wow. A radical forgiveness is a complete letting go of the past in any personal relationship as well as in any collective drama. Boy. Ye who have ears to hear, let them hear. So I'm just going to share with you these 7 learnings on the pilgrimage of my life, and may they be a gift to you today, just to hear them all together. Number 1, the Spirit of God goes with you. Wherever you go, drawing you steadily toward the good. Number 2, be a loving, healing presence in the world. Number 3, no one is a stranger. We are here to be helpmates and angels to one another. Number 4, know and love thyself. And don't let fear intimidate you, stop you from knowing and loving yourself. Number 5, resilience runs deep in each and every one of us. Number 6, and I added this, I haven't mentioned it yet, dedicate yourself to your spiritual life. Love, serve, and be an example. Number 7, the practice of forgiveness is your most important contribution to the healing of the world. And I've added an 8th one. Took the liberty to do that because it's one of the first things I shared that really sums all this up so well for me from Martin Luther King Jr. I believe that unarmed truth and unconditional love will have the final word in reality. May it be so on the pilgrimage of your life. And thank you for welcoming me back here today. Thank you.